everyone. Thank you for joining us for this session on community solar. I'm Joanna Goldfarb. I'm the Sustainability Innovation Consultant here at RCLS. Just a few housekeeping notices before we get started. So first, please keep yourselves on mute unless prompted to unmute. This will cut down on background noise and keep the recording clean. Next, after the program, you will receive a follow-up evaluation. Please take a few moments to fill that out. And once the recording is available, either tomorrow or early next week, that information will be sent out to everyone. With that, I am just going to pass it off to our presenter, Carmen, to get us started.
Okay. Hi, everyone. So I'm Carmen Pei, and I work at Sustainable Westchester. And I'm a senior program manager there, and I manage different solar programs that we have in the organization, and community solar is one of them. And so today I'll be sharing information about it so that you are aware of that opportunity in case you have something that comes your way related to community solar. So I have my screen on this side, so I will be moving around facing you as they go through this. All right, so a little bit about Sustainable Westchester first. We are a nonprofit organization located in Mount Kisco, New York. We have 44 municipalities that are our members, and also Westchester County is a member organization. So we focus on environmentally and fiscally sound solutions to build a better future for our communities. And many of our programs focus on achieving a clean energy future. And some of our programs, such as Community Solar, have expanded beyond our borders that is beyond the Westchester County border. And we had previously shared some opportunities related to Community Solar through the library system that you may have received and seen. So a lot of our work lines up with New York State goals, the Climate Act goals, and that is for us to achieve a 70% of our energy to be of renewable energy resources. And also that is by 2030. And also we are aiming to achieve a 40% greenhouse gas reduction by 2030. And to provide the benefits that come out of all these clean energy programs and initiatives so that they are delivered to disadvantaged communities, at least 35% of those benefits would be delivered to them. So now we're going to get into what is community solar. So community solar is this very interesting program that New York State developed in order to provide access to solar benefits to community members that cannot necessarily install solar in their own roof. So it could be residents that are renters, it could be libraries that are unable to set up solar within their own facility. And so what New York State has done is that it has provided monetary incentives to developers to develop projects somewhere that they find within a utility zone. So let's say an airport near a utility zone has large roof space. Developer can develop solar there. And in exchange, they'd have to provide monetary savings to community members within that same utility zone. So basically, these projects, a portion of them is assigned to a community solar participant, and that portion generates energy. It injects it into the local utility. It has a monetary value, and some of that monetary value is eventually a savings on the community solar participant, and specifically on their electricity bills. And these are generally long-term savings that are provided to them, and usually for the life of the project, which is 20 to 25 years. So go to the next slide now. Community solar provides participants the opportunity to save on their monthly electricity bills. They, again, do not need to install anything on their own property. What we have seen that savings have ranged anywhere from up to 5 to 20% off participant bills. Community solar does not change the way in which you pay your electricity. You continue to pay it via, let's say you have a utility bill from Central Hudson, you continue to pay it that way. You retain your electricity delivery company. That means you retain the utility you're with. So if you're with Central Hudson, you stay with Central Hudson. You keep your current electricity supplier. If you're participating with the same utility as your supplier, then you do that. If you have a private company, an energy service company that provides you the energy, you continue to do that. Community solar really has no impact on that. And if the opportunity is also available to residents who are in assistance programs, and community solar is not going to affect any of that participation. So it won't affect if they're in a home energy assistance program. They'll just retain that benefit in addition to having a community solar savings. There is no cost to join on most opportunities, and all opportunities that we've seen. You can cancel at any time. Usually it's just required that you give a 2-month written notice or a 3-month written notice so that your place can be taken by another participant, so that there is enough time to do that shift. And there are no penalties or fees for canceling your participation. And as you are participating in a community solar project, you're really contributing towards this larger model that has been created to have solar installed in various locations. And so the more participants there are, the more solar projects are being built, and more community solar impacts there are, such as like providing a cleaner energy, improving our air quality, and just generating jobs for our local communities. Okay, so how are the savings applied to the electricity bill? I'm going to take a 5% example in this case. Again, as I mentioned, you are given a portion of the project. So imagine this is your portion. It generates energy. That energy is injected into the grid. It has a monetary value. And that monetary value, we call it utility bill credit. 95% of that utility bill credit is, well, first of all, the utility bill credit is applied on your bill. So you get your 100% of it is applied. 95% of that utility bill credit is deducted from your bill. And you basically only keep 5% of that money. So I'm going to give the same example with numbers. So I used large numbers because I'm assuming libraries have large electricity bills. So in this case, let's say this month your electricity bill was $1,500. Your portion of the community solar project generated $100 that month. Then you have to give back $950 of that of that $1,000, and you ultimately just keep 5%, which is $50. And so ultimately you're going to be paying only $1,450 for the bill that used to be $1,500. So you've kept $50 that month, and you keep getting savings every month, again, for usually a long-term basis of like 20 to 25 years. Okay, I'm going to go into just sharing about who or what entities this opportunity has been available to. It's been available to libraries, residents, including residence and assistance programs, small businesses, municipal properties, school, churches, master meter buildings. So it's really been available to many, and it's been around since I believe it took, there was more of it starting in 2018. So it's been around for a few years. Again, this is just going back to the bigger picture. Community solar and just solar development in general strengthens our local economies with the retained savings, let's say with the savings from the community solar. And also it stimulates local renewable energy development. It increases our environmental benefits, produces green jobs, as I mentioned before, and all of it's really contributing to New York State Climate Act goals and our just general climate goals. Okay, so how can libraries get involved? If you are aware of a community solar opportunity, again, when we have it available, we will certainly share it with Joanna so she could circulate it with everyone. We had a few opportunities available back in May, but they're gone now, but they will be coming our way. And as soon as we have that opportunity, we'll share with you. So if it's an opportunity where you would participate, you can do that. If it's an opportunity for your constituents, you can share information about community solar. Recently, we had one where we were providing up to 20% savings to those that are in assistance programs, so families that are in assistance programs. And that's really a rare opportunity, but it's a great one. And it really helps those families out. So sharing information about the community solar opportunity is always great. You're also, some facilities, you might also be able to set up solar on your properties, but perhaps you don't have enough money to own it yourself and you want to work with a third-party developer. You could lease your facility, get some monetary payment for leasing the space you're providing that developer to build a community solar project. In that scenario one, you could benefit from the lease payment. And also there is this opportunity for you to join as an anchor subscriber, which means that you could take up to 40% of the community solar savings that are generated by that entire project as savings for your library. It will be dependent on how much electricity you use. So if you have enough electricity usage that is around what 40% of that project would generate, then that would work out. If you don't use up that much, you could just get a smaller size of the project as savings. So a smaller size of that project would generate maybe, for example, 20% of that project is what you would take up. Then whatever that 20% generates in terms of savings, you would retain. Yes, and so this concludes the presentation on community solar, and I did not put my name. I'll change that over here for all of you. Apologies. My name is Carmen, and you can reach me at a different extension, 105. But that is my phone number, and that is my email. But thank you. Now, this is a short presentation, but hopefully this gives you time to ask questions. I'll stop sharing now.
Right, thank you. I think we have a small enough group that if you'd like to unmute to ask a question, you can do so. Or if you're more comfortable, you can put your questions in the chat. I actually have a question to get us started. So in the past, I've, gotten phone calls or texts or things in the mail about community solar, and I never know if it's kind of a scam or if it's a legit company. Do you know of any resources to look up verified companies that do community solar to make sure that no one gets scammed into anything? Or do you keep some sort of list at Sustainable Westchester?
Well, Sustainable Westchester, again, is a nonprofit, and we certainly work with the projects that come our way, and we will make it known very much, like we'll put our logo next to it. I'm sure there are other entities, community organizations that will also be communicating information about the community solar project you might be seeing. So I would look up that entity, so who they are. You can also look them up online. All of these projects are actually supposed to be registered with NYSERDA in order to receive the incentives to enable this community solar model. So if you had a little bit more details about the project itself, you can find it in this database that is maintained by NYSERDA. And that's public, it's available to everyone. But you would need some type of address, like where is that project located? So that would be something you could ask, like where is that project located, so that you can easily go online and look it up. And yes, in terms of other safeguards, really you just have to investigate the company and get more information about the community solar project to make sure it's legit. And you can verify that with NYSERDA.
All right. We have a question in the chat, and then Marge raised her hand. So the question in the chat is NYSERDA the New York State agency that subsidizes this program?
NYSERDA is the New York State agency that has control of the funds and does contribute to let's say a developer that applies for a specific project, they do award that money to them. Yes.
And then we'll go to Marge and then the next question in the chat. So Marge, if you want to unmute.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi. I have a few questions regarding the percentage off. So first off, like, why is there a range between 5 and 20%?
Sure. So 5% is the lowest state mandated amount that developers have to provide to participants. 5% of what's generated. And that is the case due to an order that allowed these savings to be placed in your electricity bill. So if they're using that mechanism to place those savings into your own electricity bill, they have to provide you a minimum of 5% savings of what is generated by your portion.
So is there a list somewhere of places that offer more, or is this something that can be negotiated?
I'm actually going to give you a resource of the community solar page at NYSERDA. Let me make that available for you all. Solar NYSERDA, and that will actually have list of just more information about the program, and also you could eventually also find a list of projects, I believe, that are listed there, or at least the developers and where they are located in the map. And then as for the range and how would you look them up and whether you could find a 10% or a 20%, it's as they come. So before, when we were working in Westchester County, we had a lot of opportunities that were at 10%. The incentives have decreased. New York State incentives for developers have decreased over time, and we're seeing a very big shift towards the 5%. So we're no longer seeing a lot of 10% opportunities. And then the 20% opportunities, we're only seeing those for households that are in assistance programs. And that is usually because a community solar developer has received an incentive from New York State as well as the federal government to provide benefits to community solar participants.
Okay, so a couple of weeks ago, I had talked to someone locally, a community solar provider, and she had told me that right now they'd only have 5%. But she'd said we could get on a waiting list and it might be up to a year and there might be 10% ones that are more available. Does that sound legitimate to you? Like based on your knowledge of the programs? Like, so basically, would we be better off just signing up for the 5%? She said, even with that, we'd probably have a 3-month wait to get into one. But the other one, it could be like for the 10%, it could be 6 months to a year. So I'm thinking 25 years down the road, we'd be better off waiting for the 10%, unless it's never going to materialize.
So my recommendation would be to sign up for the 5%. And the reason is that you can always come out of your project. You can always like give in your cancellation notice. Usually you make sure you read your contracts, right? All these contracts have a 2-page disclosure agreement that is supposed to be very much in plain English. And it's really mandated by New York State to have basically the same structure. Make sure in there you're just going to list if there's any penalties, and usually there's no penalties for coming out of the community.
Do you know if then like a 10% one came available and you'd want to get out of one contract or another? It kind of seems like once you're in it, you're like, you know, at least in my experience, you would just stay with it.
Right. Unless you know of another opportunity, then if you're aware of another opportunity, then you can unenroll. Make sure whoever you're going to be enrolling with, let's say another 10% project, you communicate with them and say, if I unenroll from this one, would you be able to enroll me on your project? And if they say yes, then you can unenroll and be enrolled into their project.
So it would kind of just be up to us as the library to continually be looking for new projects that might have a better incentive.
Right. Yes. And just be an alert. And also, like I said, for example, our organization, when we do have something available, we'll contact Joanna with information. I know that like organizations that are making this accessible to libraries and communities, they're usually also proactively doing this outreach. So it'll be both you be an alert and also those organizations coming towards you.
I have a couple more questions if people don't mind. I'm sorry, but the utility bill credit that you talked about, I found a little confusing. Like, because is there ever a time when that utility bill credit is the same as your bill? Because it seems like you're only getting the percent off the utility bill credit, not like the percent off the whole bill.
Right. It is the percent is of the utility bill credit, and it's because for the portion that you have, money is generated, right? And that's called a utility bill credit, and that's the percentage. And there is certainly a time in which the amount could be equal to your bill. And usually those would be like around the summer months where solar panels overproduce energy sometimes. Yeah.
Okay. So, but that varies. That utility bill credit will vary.
Yes, especially like, let's say in the winter months, there is shorter daylight times and there is less money that's generated by that same portion that you've been allocated.
When we discussed this at a board meeting, it came up that a board member knew of someone who personally had the community solar in their homes, and that after a 2-year period, it seemed like they were no longer saving money. And I'm just wondering if there's something we should watch for in our contract that you know of that might change that, or was that maybe just a variability in the utility bill credit?
So there has been on the side of the utilities where they've been having a little bit of a slowdown in application of bills because there was a lot of participants. They're actually working actively on this to ensure that their application of utility bill credits are on time. And so that's something that has happened in the past. Maybe perhaps that was the situation. But generally, if a project is down, then you don't get credits. Like, let's say there needs to be a fix, so no energy is being generated, no money is being generated, then you're not receiving savings. Otherwise, if that project is generating energy, and it's generating that means money, then you are receiving savings. It's just a matter of whether the utility is applying it. You can always contact your community solar provider to ask a question and say, I'm not seeing the savings on my bill. Could you please let me know what is happening? And they'll let you know what the status is.
Okay. Thank you very much.
There is another question in the chat. Is there any federal funding at risk with respect to this program?
So at this time, there is risk in terms of whether future projects will be receiving incentives, and namely the tax credit. But that's not for current projects. That would be if there is a bill that is passed that is currently under review, and where they're not going to be providing a 30% tax credit to projects that are built that are solar projects. So that is a risk in the future. So again, when you had mentioned before, like, should I wait for the 5%? Should I sign up for the 5% or wait until there's a 10%? That is also another reason why my recommendation is, if you have an opportunity that is community solar, you make sure it's a legit one, make sure you read your contract, then I would take it.
Stephen, you have a question?
I do. During your presentation, you had talked about, I thought I heard you say there were no opportunities for libraries in this. Does that mean like there's no spaces available and this is what you get put on a waiting list for somebody to come off and then you come on? Is that what you meant? Or is there enough solar that all the libraries can go and try and sign up now?
Oh, okay. No, Sustainable Westchester currently does not have opportunities available in community solar for your utility areas. We did have it in the past, and we're happy to like take your names as a waiting list and have conversations with you in the future when we have opportunities. And in terms of our waiting list, you're not bound to anything. If you find another community solar project in the meantime until we contact you, you can certainly take that up. And as far as the general market and what's available and accessible to you, I'm not too familiar with like, what projects there are for you with other organizations and community solar providers.
Okay, because I looked on the link you provided, and I'm in Orange and Rockland. That was one of the things is you didn't provide any opportunities for Orange and Rockland, but here there's like 6 or 7, and I know that the Tuxedo Library is using the community solar called Meadow, and that they're very happy with that. And I just signed up for that at my home as well. And I'm going to see how it plays out, and if it plays out well, I'm going to recommend it to my municipality. Are there any things that would prevent or bar a library from participating? For example, if they had solar already or a geothermal project or other energy efficiency things?
Yeah, thank you so much for bringing that up. And that's a very important point. Anybody who has solar already on their facility and that electric meter is benefiting from that solar system, cannot participate in community solar. So that's the only reason. So if at your home you have solar and you're benefiting through your meter through that solar, then you cannot do community solar, because this was designed for folks that cannot install solar for that meter, that specific meter.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to encourage everyone, if you are not already on the sustainability listserv, please do join. Carmen mentioned that there were some opportunities open and libraries were included in May that she had sent my way, and I did send that information out through the sustainability listserv. So I'm going to put the link to view all of our listservs in the chat, But if you would like more information like this, please do sign up for that list. Does anyone else have any questions? I see the 3 dots in the chat. That means someone's typing. Oops. All right. Well, here, seeing no questions in the chat, seeing no hands raised, I'm going to thank everyone for joining us. If you have a question that you think of as soon as we leave or anytime in the future, I can put you in touch with Carmen. So thank you so much, Carmen, for your time.
Thank you.
Again, after this session, I'll send a follow-up email, and when the recording is ready, I will let everyone know. So enjoy the rest of your day, and it's only one more day until the weekend, so enjoy your weekend also. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.